All right. We're yawning because we're tired, but only 2 of us have newborns. So, welcome to the Mama's Den. I'm Cody.
I'm Melanie.
Who are you?
I'm Felicia.
Yay.
We're Mashley.
We're Mashley.
We're Mashley.
Melashley.
Well, since y'all over here in sync, right? In sync.
That was the newborn mama in sync. That really was what it was.
So we're a few months out from y'all having babies. Your fourth, Ashley, and your second, Melanie. So I want to understand, like, how's this adjustment?
Go ahead, Mel.
Honestly, I feel like I get beat up every single day.
Man.
I just feel like my body hurts. I feel tired. I feel like there's not enough hours in the day. I feel like, I'm just looking for the moment when both of them are asleep at the same time. That's literally what I look forward to.
When is that?
Well, Cameron goes to sleep at the 8:30. He's in bed.
Oh, that's good.
Kaya, she's a wild card. She could sometimes be asleep and stay asleep, but then you're waiting at like that 1:30 for her to wake up and be like, I'm hungry. Or, trying to put them to sleep at the same time.
How long does she sleep?
Girl, she a baby. We don't know.
I'm curious because she's like looking for that time of day, but it's like, what does that give you?
So
2 hours?
it's the truth. It's so wild. Like, we just don't know. Like, we really never know. That is perfect, Ashley, because I just don't know. Like, people are like, how is she sleeping through the night? I'm like, yes. Like, what does that look like? I don't know. So I just feel like it's better than it was in the beginning. I can say that. It's better than it was in the beginning, which is helpful and hopeful.
December she was born?
She was born the end of December. And I'm just tired. I'm just very tired. I'm more tired than I was with Cameron. And I think it's twofold. I'm also 5 years older. And I also, the naivete of not knowing what to expect is just like adrenaline when you have one. You're just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do, but I'm doing it. But when you have two and then you kind of have an experience before to compare it to, when it's not going the same, it's so stressful. Right? It's so, right, Fee?
Yeah,
like, did you feel like that? Like,
Absolutely. I'm like, because Peace and Zen are completely different humans. Completely different. And I had to really understand, like, what works for Peace does not work for Zen. They are individuals. You have to raise them as individuals.
Yes.
Yeah. But I definitely felt super defeated. I was like, 2 kids? I'm like, how do people have more than this? This is crazy.
I don't know.
Ashley,
It's ghetto.
please come. Ashley, it's ghetto.
The ghetto.
Please comment, Ashley, because you got 11 children.
No, I mean, honestly, I feel like after you have one, it doesn't even matter. Like, if you have 2, if you have 4, if you have 5, it's the same thing. Because if you have a baby,
I heard that.
It doesn't matter. Like, we feel the same way. Even though I have 4 kids and you guys have 2 or you have 3, we all feel the same way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see
like,
what
you know what I mean?
saying.
Like, you're still tired.
People used to say having 1 is like having 1. Having 2 is like having 5.
Yeah.
Child.
Because at the end of the day, especially when you have a baby, whether you have to take care of 1 more child or 4 more, 5 more, you don't get to rest.
No.
That's the problem. So when you have a baby and you have other children, once you're like frazzled and you're tired and you're trying to get this baby to sleep, and as soon as you get the baby to sleep and you want to sit down, and someone's like, "Mommy," you know what I mean? And like, there's no reprieve. And I think that's the problem. Like, you're constantly on, and it's unhealthy in a way, you know what I mean? But the way we parent and exist in this world is not natural. Like, it's supposed to be community. It's supposed to be like village. And there's lots of, like, literally villages where there's people who are like just there, like, let me hold the baby. And, so we're growing up in isolation by having our own homes, and like everything's very separate. And I think that's why women or people who birth struggle so much, because it's not natural how we're like raising our children in our family. And I don't think it's ever going to feel okay for anyone unless they're living in a home with like their moms and their aunts and their sisters, and there's everybody like, you can pass it off to. It's going to always be a struggle of exhaustion.
So, but I remember before you had Italia that you were talking about doing the 40 days where you don't do nothing, you don't go nowhere.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Oh, okay.
I got 4 kids. I thought I was going to do that, and I got a doula and everything, and she got pregnant, and I was like, girl, you need to tap out because you need to rest. You need to help me, sis. You tired. But she's really lovely. She was really sweet. But I was like, I mean, a woman to woman. Like, she was just found out she was pregnant. Like, she was really helpful. But I'm like, she's tired. Like, you need to rest. You know what I mean? It just didn't work out. And I shout out to Brandy B Stereo. She was able to do her 40 days with her her children. She has 3.
She did it with all of them?
3. No. She
I
has
knew
3
she
or
did
4.
it.
3
with her 3rd child.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't. It just didn't make sense. And my mom was here and she was super helpful. But what, you know what I mean? Like, how I'm not gonna do nothing.
Yeah,
How?
It's interesting.
Sounds lovely.
I never had help with Cameron. After we had Cam, it was just me, Jared, and Cam. Obviously, like, our parents came to visit, but they left 2 weeks after. But with Kaya, my mom and dad were there through the winter. So they stayed till March. And that was the first time I had understood what it was to have help. And I was like, what a blessing, what a gift. But then the devastation of them leaving was like, I've never done this without you. So now it was like, I've never done 2 kids without having my parents there. So when they left, Jared and I looked at each other like, yo, like, can we do this? Like, and that's why, like, when you were saying, like, I don't know how people do with multiples, because for me, it's like man-to-man defense. It's like, you take one, I'll take the other. And that's the only way we can get it done. And we're finding our groove now, because I also shared too recently that we don't have a nanny anymore. Like, we lost all of our support system at once. And so we're finding our groove. And I know that people can do it. Ashley, you've been doing it for years. I don't know how Ashley has never had a nanny, y'all. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. And it's inspiring. Chia. God bless Chia.
Yeah, he's an amazing partner. I do have to shout him out. Bloop, bloop, bloop. That's a shout out. Bloop, 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 bloop. Shout out to Chia.
That's the shout out sound.
No,
I don't know about that shout out sound.
We are tag team back again when it comes to our kids. We really are. Like, we just are. We move.
I actually told you.
Go ahead.
So I saw Ashley. It was funny. Jared and I stayed at a hotel. Ashley was there with her family at the same hotel. So I go up, we see Ash, she's having lunch, all the kids are there. I leave, I come back, Jared's like, yo, have you ever seen Ashley and Chia with the 4 kids? And I was like, I mean, I've seen it, but like, no, not really, not yet. He's just like, yo, they are like Avengers Unite. Like, as soon as the food came, they was like, all right, she's got a little bit of this, she got a little bit of that. And it was just unspoken. They were just like, boop, 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 boop. It was just tag team. And so, like, that really helps to have a partner that is present, available, willing,
takes instructions.
Compromise. The taking of instructions is so hard, because I will say this, Jared and I are similar in the way we parent our children, yes, but the way in which we go about doing things with a sense of urgency is very different.
Okay, me and Chia too, just so we're clear now.
Right. And so I, being the mom, feel very entitled to feel that I should be the one to direct the initiatives of how everything should go. Right? Yet, I also know that he loves the kids and he's really good with them. And so I had to get to this place where I was like, you may not do it exactly how and when I would do it, but it gets done. And so the kids are still alive and they're happy and they're healthy. So I had to learn to just like back off. And I've learned that definitely with the second now versus Cameron. Like, now I'm just kind of like, all right, you want to let her watch basketball? Fine. That big ass screen in front of her, like, I don't like it, but I can't fight you right now.
Yeah,
like,
because your mental health.
I'm done. I'm tapped. And so I sit there, and she's very content. And she actually, it's really crazy. She loves basketball. I wouldn't be surprised if she grows up and like really wants to play basketball. She's really into it. She's not into the TV for just anything, but basketball, she loves it. And so I see him sitting there with her, and I'm like, she's not supposed to have screen time. She's only 5 months. And I'll be like, she's all right. Like, exactly. That's the thing. With Cameron, it was like, no screen time, none of these things. And now I'm just like, look, is she calm?
Girl.
Is she getting tired because we can put her down? Fine. Like, I have just learned for my mental health that it's okay that it just doesn't go the way it's supposed to every single day. I mean, I feel that way even like through breastfeeding this time versus how it went with Cameron. Like, I had to get to a place where I was like, yeah, this is struggling for my mental health and I'm not feeling good about this. So I have to make different decisions. And I feel like this time around, I was able to have more grace with myself and have more like gentleness with myself to say, hey, like, it's all fine. Everything is fine. And I think that's the only way you can get through the newborn phase, is that if you really just allow yourself to say, all right, yesterday was different than today. I don't know. Yeah. Tomorrow will be different as well, but I just got to get it through it one moment at a time, and I'm just doing my best.
Yeah. I want to know how Cody's ass was.
Cody, because these twins.
I
was about to ask you about.
I'm like, how did you do this?
You know, like they say, having one is like having one, having 2 is like having 5. But like we had 2 at the same time.
That's Cody. 2 babies at the same time.
At the same
granted,
time.
I mean, when it came to feeding them, they took turns.
Did you have a natural
birth?
I
nursed them. I had a vaginal birth. Yes.
Okay.
With the twins, not with Brooks. So it was a vaginal after cesarean.
Oh wow,
that's so crazy. That's so opposite of what you would think.
I know, child. But it was very important to me, and so I that was like
great.
a whole thing. But I didn't feed them at the same time. I did like what do you call it, tandem nursing, like 3 times. But overall, I would do back to back. But it was a lot. I mean, what from my memory, right? It would be like 30 minutes
Yes.
each.
Wow.
You know, and it had to be equitable so that like, maybe that's why my boobs are like lopsided now. But it had to be equitable so
Welcome
that,
to
you know, I
breastfeeding.
could get the milk out of both. But yeah, it was everything that you're describing. It was a lot. But the good thing about the twins, or the thing that's like very specifically memorable about what made it a little better, was that eventually they just started going to sleep at night on their own.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like we would feed them every 3 hours or whatever it is. And we noticed that at the like 5 o'clock, maybe the 8 o'clock, can't remember, but one of the later feedings, we didn't have to wake them. They would just like stay asleep. Like we didn't have to do anything. They would just stay asleep. And that's when we were like, oh, we can start putting them in the crib and just leaving them there and seeing how long they go. So that was good. But I remember the moment. I don't know how old they were. It probably was in the first couple of weeks. I can picture us, me and Tommy, each having one baby. I don't even know where Brooks was at the time, on the couch, both like half asleep. And we had help during the week, but not on the weekend. And he was like, I don't know if we can do this. Like, I think we need weekend like support.
Yeah.
Because it was just too much. And we were both working. Like I started working after 3 weeks.
Oh,
so
wow.
I don't know when this was, but we were both working, and it was just like, there's no way that we will survive just being zombies on the weekends like this.
That's intense. I can't even imagine. I feel like I had a little like postpartum depression after I had Asia, but I don't think that I acknowledged it because I don't usually typically acknowledge anything. I'm a huge compartmentalizer. So like 10 years from now, I'll probably cry about it. But I definitely felt like a shift in like my behavior and how I felt, like really sad all the time. But I think that, like I said, for me, I don't know if it's how I was raised. Like I don't really give enough attention to my feelings. And so I kind of just am like, but life has to go on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not healthy, but it works.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
So you feel like you did nothing. You recognized it a little bit and then just pushed on.
Yeah, I didn't go to therapy. I just kind of cried in the closet sometimes. I would call okay, so this is one thing. I feel like every mom needs one or two people they can call and say like really outlandish shit to, and then you don't get judged because you don't have to explain yourself. Because like I could call Nalo and be like, I hate my kids, I'm gonna kill them, and she'll be like, okay, girl, and I'm like, all right, I'll call you back. And then 10 minutes later, I'm sending her pictures of us all cuddled watching TV because like you need to be able to get those feelings out, but like the person has to know you and know your temperament because sometimes that is really a cry for help from some women and you can't just ignore that. But from me, she knows how I deal with things. She understands my temperament. And I'm also the type of person where I would be like, I would leave my kids on somebody's doorstep if I feel like I was getting to that point. Like I can't do it. Like I would just say it because I say, well, we know I say all my feelings. So I genuinely let people know how I feel. So I would tell Chia like, I am so overwhelmed, and he'll be like, and I'm like, no, but it's fine. Like, we just got to get through the day. And then sometimes I would just be like, I need to be by myself. And I would go in the room and I would cry, or I just watch TV, or I would like kind of zone out. And I knew something was wrong because I was zoning out more, like just like not really paying attention and like taking in a lot of TV and not really being like fully present. But then it was just kind of like my mom, she came to help a little bit. She was like, you need a break. Like she could tell. And that helped. But I think because I love my kids so much, like I definitely sacrifice my feelings because I want them to be like happy and healthy. So I definitely pushed it down, and I saw it coming again after Italia, but I think I recognized it sooner. So like I was just taking like vitamins and supplements and going on more walks and being outside more. And that I realized like I have to go outside every single day. That contributes to my depression if I don't. Like I have to go outside. I have to feel the sun. I have to see it. Like it's so important. So taking walks was like a huge help for like breaking my mood of me feeling like very like monotonous, because it's like you feel crazy when you don't sleep. Like sleep deprivation makes you insane.
And to your point though, there's levels to postpartum depression.
Absolutely.
Right. And I did not have it, so I'll let y'all definitely speak. But I understand that even what you're describing sounds like mild from the standpoint of you were able to pull yourself out of it.
Yes.
A lot of people aren't. A lot of
and
people
that's why I said that.
Help.
Yep.
Yeah.
They need to seek help. You need to get help. And you have to know yourself too. I think it's very important to be honest. Like if you're having feelings that this is my that was my third child.
Yeah.
So like if you're having, especially if this is your first child feeling that way, you don't know, you don't trust yourself. Yeah. You definitely need to tell your doctor. You definitely need to ask for help. You shouldn't be like, oh, I guess it might go away. Right. No, because when I talk about sleep deprivation, anybody, when you're not sleeping, you're not yourself. So you might snap and do something that you would never have done normally because you're not in your right mind.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's not safe to just be like, oh, I'll be okay. Like, you definitely should ask for help.
Right.
You okay?
I'm just thinking, like, so after Peace, I went through really bad postpartum depression. So I'm like, this is like bringing up, I'm like, oh my God.
I can tell.
With her, I was just so overwhelmed. Like, just life just felt, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, And then I have this beautiful blessing, but I also feel sad and I want to kill myself. But so you're like judging yourself and trying to be thankful at the same time. And then I felt like I almost had too much help at the beginning, because it was like, a lot of it started to feel like control, like you need to do this, you need to do that, you change it, and I'm like, I need to figure it out for myself. So it's just all of that like felt very overwhelming. And my mom was the one who pointed it out. She was like, I think all the people was like too much, but I also understand that the help wasn't in vain. It was like, to support you. I didn't understand it. And then when I had Zen, I was like, help, like everybody pull up. I was able to accept it. But also, I was in that space where I didn't have boundaries. And then
And you were young.
Yeah, super young.
How old were you when you had
23.
Peace?
Yeah, 23. Ooh. Yeah, so I didn't have boundaries. And then I also, I didn't know. I don't know. I just felt like out of control. Like,
how did you know that it was postpartum depression and not just overwhelmed and tired?
My mom was the one who actually was like, this sounds like postpartum. Like, I think you need to look this up. And then, when you go into the doctor's visits, they're like, so do you have these thoughts? And finally I was just like, I actually do. Like,
how did you?
I called like a hotline, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah, I called a hotline first.
What did you do to get out of it? Or did you get help? Or like, how did you help yourself?
I went on, so first I went vegan. Because I was like, maybe diet. I need to, it was like diet, exercise. And I think I went on anxiety medication. I think that's when I first took it. But I needed something to, you know what it was? I started to take 5-HTP first. Because I also did this thing with a holistic doctor. So 5-HTP helps with like basically blocking, how do you describe it? I'm trying to like verbally describe it, but I can picture it in my mind. So like when your body is producing serotonin, you can either have like not enough or too much. And so this kind of like
evens it out, or
like balanced, regulated.
Yeah, it just kind of like stops it, not stops the creation, but it makes it to where there's not like a hole of like it's seeping, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So the 5-HTP, it helps to build that chemical, and I wasn't producing any at all. I went to a holistic doctor, and the holistic doctor was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. I'm like, this is bringing back so many like flashbacks. The holistic doctor was the first one that was like, you're definitely going through postpartum depression. Start taking these minerals and these vitamins. And that's where I was introduced to 5-HTP. And then I think after is when I got on anxiety medication to like, I was like, okay, we need some chemicals up in this thing.
How long do you feel like you were in the fog of PPD?
Probably like, so Peace is 7, maybe like 3 years.
Wow. Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
For a while, because I didn't recognize it. I mean, I just thought that, this is how it feels to have a kid, I didn't realize that what was happening. So then also knowing that I went through that experience with Peace, with Zen, I was just so aware. I was just like, okay, we're not going to do this again. I was taking like double time the vitamins. I knew what to do directly after. I knew that just really did I just basically I had the blueprint already for what it was.
But like I find it really interesting that you said 3 years.
Yeah,
because I feel like people think that postpartum depression is like, give yourself that 6 weeks, and it's like, no, you can literally find yourself in a cycle of postpartum depression if it goes unnoticed, untreated, if you're not seeking the remedy of whatever you need in that time to be able to get yourself back to a place of feeling quote unquote normal or regulated or healthy again, that's wild to me. And I think that like that's important to share, because I don't think, like I said, like people might just think it's this small window, and it's like, no, you like having a child chemically changes you forever. Forever.
You also mentioned suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
And so how long did you have those before you actually talked to somebody?
I think suicidal thoughts happen probably maybe like when like around 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that
probably
was
like
not
around
like
2.
early on. Okay.
Yeah, not at first I was like overwhelmed and stressed out. Yeah, so probably like 1 or 2 years in, because I was just like, this is so overwhelming. And then I tried to commit suicide. I had to go to the hospital, and then a nurse walked in, just a Black woman, and she was just like, I'm going to tell you something right now. She was like, you need to, whatever you're going through, you have to get it together. She was like, because if not, they're going to take your baby and your baby is going to go into a system, and you don't want that to happen. So before they release, you have to do like all these psychiatric like treatments, and, you know, then make sure like you're okay, because they're like, you literally tried to kill yourself and it didn't work. So if we go home, like, is your baby in danger, you know? And so that, I think, was the biggest thing that I was like, okay, we have to really like figure this shit out. And then that's really when I started sharing my my mothering journey, and just like was being very open and honest about it, you know, which was eventually turned into Mindful Fee. I'm like, that's where the mental health part comes from. Is like, there was always history within family, but that was when I started to just be like, I need somewhere to place this. Like, this is my open diary. And then other women are like, oh my God, me too. Yeah. Like, I try to do that too. Or if people see a story, I did a lot of like videos on YouTube at the time, and people will see a story or like a video, and they're like, oh my gosh, I was gonna kill myself, and then like something, I started clicking videos and I found yours, and I just didn't end up doing it. And I was just like, oh, I have to like keep sharing this message, you know? Yeah, it was a lot. That's why I always tell women, I'm like, take your time. Yeah. You know, I think I also have body dysmorphia. Like, I was trying to like, I don't look like this anymore. Like, oh God, there were so many levels, you know. It uncovers all of the things of how we are as women. I feel like when you have a baby, everything that we've ever gone through in life, like, sizzles up to the top, and it's like, so now what are you gonna do? Right. Like, you know, you gonna deal with it, or are you gonna just like try to kill yourself and make it go away? But it's like, yeah, no. So yeah.
Some people too, and I don't know if this was the case for you with Zen, but like, it makes them not want to have another one.
Oh, I was terrified. Yeah. I was terrified to have a second. I knew I wanted it, but I was very, very afraid. Even now, like, people ask me all the time, do you want another kid? And I'm always like, I don't know. But in my mind and in my heart, I'm like, it's like, it's scary. Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to have to go through that mentally, emotionally, like. Yeah.
Even when you said the 3-year thing, I'm so glad you said that, because that's how I felt too. Like, I feel like I never really got over it. And then I just got pregnant again. That's why I told Chia, I was just like, when we had this 4th baby, I don't know if I wanted to have another kid. Like, I did and I didn't. Like, I love having babies with him. You know what I mean? But it's very exhausting and draining. And this time I told him, I was like, Chia, I feel like I'm getting further away from myself. Like, I'm just raising children and that's it. And then like, me as a person is gone, and I'm just here like raising these babies, and it doesn't make me feel good. And I can remember, like, I vividly remember my mom changing as a person, like when my little brother was born, because she didn't have help. He was a little rambunctious, you know what I mean? And so shout out to my little brother, I love him. But it was a lot for her. And I remember my mom never cussed, never said nothing. But when that little boy was born, that's the first time I ever heard my mom cuss. Girl. And so like, I always think about Amira, like looking at me and feeling like
how she's watching you.
Yes.
Change.
Yeah. And I am changing, and I have like, I don't have as much tolerance that I used to have in those 2 middles.
Neither does she.
Well, baby, neither does Amira, because she's getting tired of them kids too.
Got that teenage tolerance.
Yes, and that's hard, and that's the thing. What's crazy is like, she really needs me right now. She's a teenager, and her middle sisters, they're like a little 2-headed monster sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, they are twins, but they're not twins, and it's exhausting because all they do is fight and then get along and fight and then get along, fight and get along, but it's all day long. And like, we just want them to shut up sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, and I'm trying so hard, like the conscious parenting. I try so hard, and I think that contributes to your depression, because you have an idea of the type of mom you want to be. Yes. And then when you fall short daily, or it makes you depressed, it makes you feel like, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing this right, maybe I shouldn't have as many kids, or blah blah blah. Like, you just go through all of these doubts. And I feel like when I'm not patient with my 2 middle children, it makes me sad, because I was so patient with Amira. They're not getting the same mom that she got at all. But I'm like, that was the one thing I told Chia. I said, I never want to have more kids and take away from Amira, not just financially, but like mentally, emotionally, you know what I mean? And so I'm trying to like find myself and find a way to be this person again. And then it's like a part of me is like, maybe I should just let go of that idea because I may never be that mom again. But then I'm like, no, because, you know, like I don't like defeat. I'm trying to like beat myself.
So
do you know what I mean?
Let's take away from like being the mom that you were before and the thing that you said early on, which was like you feel like you're getting further away from yourself.
Yeah.
And I think I'm hearing too maybe the need to sort of rediscover like who are you right now? What does Ashley look like? What does motherhood look like?
I don't know.
Right now?
I'm
so
just
how do we
struggling
help
with
you
my
get
body
there?
too. Like that's the other thing. I am not used to this. Like I had 2 kids, the first 2 in my body, like that snapback culture, but I did. Like I only gained 20 pounds with Amira, lost it. Gained 20 pounds with Azar, lost it. I actually gained less weight with Atalia. I only gained 17 pounds that whole pregnancy. And I'm bigger than I was when I was 9 months pregnant with my other 2 children. So like, I'm trying to like deal with that and trying to lose weight, and then trying to lose weight while you're breastfeeding at the same time. It's like virtually impossible.
Yeah, it's a setup.
Yeah. Should that even be the focus? I don't
Yep,
know.
no, yes, because I don't feel good. See, that's the thing. Like
you're
you're going in a loop because it's like I don't feel good about my body. Well, you need to work out. You need to eat healthy. Then, but I can't because I'm tired and I'm breastfeeding. So like you're in this like crazy volcano or like tornado of emotions because I know I will feel better if I work out, but I also don't feel good when I'm working out and I don't see any results.
But maybe
it's like
it's crazy town.
For the release and for the feeling.
No, I want to look better
and
too.
less about like
and for the habit, right?
Yeah.
Like I would say,
I did it to feel good at first,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I was like, because I knew that your body, when you're pregnant, I mean, when you're breastfeeding, your body has to hang on to the fat.
Yeah.
But
like
it didn't with my first 2 kids, so I think that's the problem. Like I'm having
You're having a different
two
experience.
different experiences than my other 2, like split down the middle.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have to do anything. I'm talking about when I walked home from the hospital, my stomach was like bloop, flat. Wearing put my jeans back on the day after I had a mirror.
Never ever in my life.
But that's
What's that
you know
like?
what I mean? Like I was also 20. Oh, I was 23, but I was a ballet dancer, so I also have body dysmorphia
that's
because
a whole
I
other-
was living my whole life underweight and didn't even realize it.
But let's talk about like literally, we have individually all just shared moments of stress, unraveling, just feeling lost a sense of self, exhaustion. All of those things are stress, which contribute to literally how we're able to function, see, understand, operate in our lives. And so like that also is a setup to me because we're stressed out about all these things that we're trying to control, but then also we're like, well, why am I so tired? And then why is my body not changing? Well, because I'm stressed out. Like I am, you know, it's so hard. And I think that that's the thing that people are afraid to admit is that like, you know, like you're not grateful for like the babies or you're not grateful or like I am grateful, but I'm also really tired.
Yeah.
And I'm also having a hard time.
Yeah.
And 2 things can exist.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's
Way to bring that together.
yeah, like it's a thing, like they can exist. And I feel like, you know, back to you, Fee, like, first of all, your transparency in this episode is just incredible.
yes.
And I think that so many women, me included in this moment, I'm getting emotional, just because I'm so passionate about moms and I'm so passionate about what we go through when nobody's looking and we suffer in silence so much. And that's why like this community of women right now is so important to me. And that's why creating content like this is so important. And that's why talking, because someone is listening that feels like no one else understands. And that is what this is about. Like, that's why we have to call each other. We have to talk. We have to share because we're all individually going through our own things. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to know that there is another side to it. You can get through it. There are resources and people out there to talk to about it. And I encourage everyone listening to do that. You do not have to feel like there is no one out there for you. Someone is out there. Ask for help. Because it's really, really important. And don't disregard and downplay how you feel. You know, sometimes it's not just I'm tired. Sometimes there is something chemically going on.
And there's value to recognizing tired though too, because tired can influence and affect other things physically, mentally,
100%.
emotionally. So I'm tired is still very valid and legitimate.
Yeah, and if you're like me, I think that it's probably not a good idea to adapt that personality, like of just like ignoring your feelings. I think it's really important to acknowledge them. And I'm starting to get in a place too where I'm letting go of like expectation so that I can acknowledge my feelings. I think I push them away so that like, well, what is this crying train that's happening? That's not gonna see what I'm saying? I don't do group cries. But
You
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Nope. But there's value in acknowledging how you feel. I just like to cry alone in my closet peacefully. I don't know. I cry.
That is such a Capricorn.
I'm tempted to just get up and hug her and see if she
don't do that. Nope.
No, she probably might sock you right now.
Don't touch me.
Like, don't touch me. Remember her love language. Don't touch.
I don't like group cries. I like to cry alone in the closet, but I do cry. Trust me, I am a cry baby. My moon is in Pisces. I cry all the time. Just like to do it privately. But I do think it's important to like acknowledge your feelings, and because it is not safe to just like push things down, because you will implode. You really will. You will implode, and you might actually hurt yourself or your baby, or your spouse. You know what I mean? It could be the smallest thing, and it just takes you over the edge. And that's the scary thing too, when you're kind of going through a depression or postpartum, is that you could be thinking that you're functioning and be lashing out and not realizing that you actually aren't. That's why you're lashing out. That's why you're not as patient. Like, you need to answer those questions correctly when you visit your doctor. Tell the truth.
Yeah, and it's like it's there to help you.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
You cannot like be afraid to admit those things out loud when you acknowledge them. Like, you have to answer those questions truthfully.
And I feel like it doesn't just go away. Like, I had to do the work for it to go away.
Absolutely.
All the way. And I'm so thankful that I didn't go through it with him. I remember just looking around like, whoa, okay, coast is clear. Because they say it doesn't happen every year.
Yeah, right. It's different.
So
I definitely think with Cameron, I experienced trauma and disappointment. It wasn't really PPD, I feel like. But with Kaya, I feel like I definitely experienced PPD. And it didn't happen right after I had her, which was weird. I felt like it took like a minute, like a month and a half to 2 months to set in before I started to feel that overwhelming sadness, and I felt like that loss of control, and I started to notice that like this was different. Like, everything felt triggering to me in that time, and I was like, oh, this is different than Cam.
Oh wow.
You know, and I feel like it's you know, it's a process, it's a journey.
Yeah, but I'm hearing you all say, and you know, me included, like, talking about what you're going through, it's hard. Like, no one's saying that's easy. It's probably one of the hardest parts. But talking about what you're going through with someone that you can trust, and or a doctor, which came to mind like when you guys were saying that just now. Like, we all know doctors don't always listen.
No.
So like acknowledging and saying things out loud, even if it's just for you, meaning like allow yourself to feel and think and articulate. And if someone doesn't take you seriously, keep doing that.
Yeah.
And or even some of the things like little practices that Ashley mentioned, you know, going outside, getting sunlight, asking somebody to watch your kids so you can whatever.
Yeah.
Where we hesitate to ask for help, and taking a nap is valuable. Like
I think another thing that I think is important to say is a lot of women will ask me just on social, like, what are my thoughts on anxiety medication or, you know, depression medication? And I think that there is this, and I get it because I believe in Eastern and Western, because there's some stuff that we just need a little stronger. And a lot of women, they're like suffering and they're like, well, you know, I can't afford a holistic doctor because you're obviously paying out of pocket, but I do have insurance and I'm suffering, but I don't want to take the medication. I'm like, I hear you. I understand that. But sometimes you might just need something to help you think clearly, and then you can figure out what move you want to make next, you know? So I think the, you know, like the pill shaming and all that stuff is like, I'm not really with that. I'm like, do what makes you feel good. And when I went on medication, I don't even think I told anybody, because I was like, I'm doing this for me. Like, I don't care what anybody, because everybody has such strong opinions on it, you know? And I was like, I need to do this or I am literally going to kill me or one of these kids. Like, this is just what it is, you know? So if you're going to do it, you can do it. Like, just don't judge yourself, you know, just go off of how you feel and one day at a time.
I did want to say one more thing too, though. I remember we were talking about answer the questions properly. Like, you got blessed with a nurse who like had the foresight to be like, let me, but a lot of, I think people of color, specifically women of color, feel scared to tell the truth because they don't want their babies taken from them. So I do think it's important to use your, like, you know, your doctor, and you know, if you don't feel really safe there, to look for a different doctor. And listen, I grew up like not with a lot of money and had government insurance when I had Amira the first time. Like, shout out to CareSource. I didn't have to pay a dime. I have insurance and I pay $6,000 out of pocket. Right? So there's that. Right. But I remember I was going to my doctor's appointments and they just stuck me in this like clinic basically where you see a different doctor every time. They don't care about you. And I remember when my sister-in-law had her baby at a different hospital, and I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And the people are so nice. And I talked to the doctor about it. She was like, girl, when you go into labor, just come here and you deliver the baby here and you will get this treatment instead of the ghetto ass hospital they were sending me to. And so when I went into labor, I went to that hospital and had an amazing experience. But I learned very quickly too, like, even no matter what type of insurance you have, there are a lot of different resources and things that people have created to help women. And you have to do your research. Like, don't feel like because you don't have money, you can't see an Eastern doctor or West. There's some that take that insurance. There's people who do both in their office. So make sure you look for help, do the research, take the time, but don't just give up and feel like because you don't have a specific amount of money that you can't help yourself, because that's not true. There's so many people that are giving of their time, that are wanting to help, and you have to look for that help.
Yeah. And if you don't like your doctor, it's also okay to switch your doctor.
Yeah, like for someone you trust.
Let me tell you a story about my pregnancy in 2021. 6 doctors later. But I'm so glad that we talked about this. Thank you for asking, Cody, because Ashley and I are in the thick of the newborn haze.
Yes.
And it is, Ashley and I often, I'm very grateful because
me too.
As I tell everybody, this is Ashley's baby that I had, because Ashley always said to me, you can't just have one. I said, watch me. I sure can always have one. And then I got pregnant. She told me she was pregnant. And when she told me she was pregnant, I had a thought that I was pregnant, but it wasn't confirmed. And 2 weeks later, it confirmed. And I called her and I was like, well, looks like we're pregnant at the same time. So I was very grateful to be able to have somebody to go through this pregnancy with, and postpartum, to be able to talk to you in real time. Ashley and I talk all the time.
Yes, girl.
And I'm very grateful to have you going through it in real time. Our daughters are a month apart.
Yes.
And we've often been our listening source of saying things that we might not necessarily say to other people.
Right.
But I'm very grateful to have you.
Mama
and
friends
I'm grateful
are
to
it,
have
man.
us.
Gotta have mom friends.
And my wish for everybody listening is that you have that and you find it.
Find it.
Only need one person.
Only one.
Only one.
One person.
Shout out to Liz Polk, my mama friend.
Oh, shout out to Liz.
Our oldest are a day apart.
Oh.
And then we both had twins.
I know, which
have
is
9
crazy.
months
Life.
apart.
Same life.
So grateful.
You guys be well.
All right, that's in the mama's den.
Peace.
Plop, 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 plop.